be above most weather.
So the thing,
it was an incredibly stable aircraft, easy to fly.
Maybe the only thing
for any pilot is
I'm worried about,
because
like the modern world,
along
is
a 3D path, essentially, something that tells you laterally where to fly to make sure that you're safe of any terrain left and right, and vertically where to fly so that you descend or climb at a particular rate to remain clear of that terrain as well.
Big stuff that can make things so accurately have become so prominent, you know what I mean? All the little guys, the local butcher, the local fruit and veg shop, have been outrun by the big guns. Like, I remember when the tobacconists and butchers and shit, you know, the news agent that, you know, you get a newspaper and chewing gum and cigarettes, when they all shut down.
Most people are scared
it's a
of Wellington
big bummer
because of the
about the modern world.
On the approach, often actually
the focus on like
Wellington's,
perfection.
Look, it can be a difficult airport to land in, but for the Pencil Plains, for example, it's huge. That runway is huge, and the wind generally comes straight down the strip, so it's actually one of the easier runways to land in for a small aircraft. A jet aircraft, it's shorter, but for a small aircraft, if you're flying any of the turboprops, it's not comfortable flying in because you get thrown around, but actually the landing is generally not as challenging as some of the other airports for the pilots.
Kia ora, and you're listening to Mapuna on RNZ National, and I'm talking to Fran Ebbett, who flies the Dreamliner nowadays, which is the Boeing 787. But we were just talking about your early career as a commercial pilot, but you then become a pilot on passenger jets. How hard a nut was that to crack, to graduate from one to the other? Because those smaller planes were propeller planes. These 787s, I've been looking at the specifications of them. These are big aircraft, very fast. How did that transition work for you?
So, aircraft, a little bit like driving a car, aircraft fly the same whether they're a 2-seater or a 400-seater. Essentially, if you're landing a 2-seater aircraft, you'll put the runway a third of the way up the windscreen, and you'll do the same thing on a big aircraft. So, in terms of the mechanics of actually flying it, I think you could take most private pilots and at least talk them through being able to fly a really big aircraft. Obviously, it's a lot heavier, it has much more inertia, you start your turn. If you're doing a turn, it takes up a lot more real estate, so you need to start that a bit earlier. But that aspect of it is familiar. The part that is less familiar is the systems involved in these large aircraft. As a pilot, it becomes more about managing a lot of different systems and understanding how those systems work rather than physically flying the aircraft. The same as driving a go-kart versus driving a Tesla. There's different, a lot more sophistication involved with the big jets. I actually went from, I happened just out of chance to be the first person to go straight on to the Airbus at New Zealand. Now, the Airbus aircraft would be arguably one of the more sophisticated aircraft does international does. And I went straight from...
That's about where Matariki should be.
Yeah.
Sophisticated aircraft that New Zealand had to the most sophisticated aircraft that New Zealand had at the time. And I wasn't too sure how that would go, and I would say to start with, you paint by numbers, you need to do what they tell you to do in order to make it work, but it's a good experience to add.
Because you did domestic routes again on the jets, but I'd like to get to the international ones because, as far as we're aware, it's a qualified statement, you're the first Māori woman to captain an Air New Zealand passenger jet. As far as we put that out there, but what I'm getting to is, when it comes to passenger jets, are there many female pilots, full stop?
There are a lot more now than there were. Look, we've got some pioneers well before me that have been captains on Air New Zealand jets. The percentage was very, very small. I can't tell you exactly, but I'm pretty sure less than 1% prior to me starting on the jet fleet. I think now it would still be less than 5%, but again, that's anecdotal. I'm guessing a little bit.
Just approximate.
Yeah.
We're not making, saying absolute statements of fact.
Yeah.